Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review, and next up is the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse BIZARRO. This is the DC Rebirth BIZARRO. Now, I'm not a very big DC guy, but McFarlane Toys does release some good figures. There's some that are questionable, and I question the choices on what's going on with them. Namely, the whole interchangeable head thing of none of the figures having an interchangeable head, and McFarlane Toys simply just re-releasing that figure with a different head. Which, I get it. Almost all the figures are unique sculpts. They aren't all unique sculpts, though, but most of the figures are unique sculpts. So accessories are going to be a little bit light. I get it. And then re-releasing stuff, and I get it. Hasbro uses the same body mold over and over and over again. Yeah, but they do it in different colors and give us a different character, whereas we're getting the same exact damn character, but with one alternate head, which should have just been packed in the box in the first place. But I digress. Anyway, McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse BIZARRO. My local Target got it. He is 2 per case. You get a Nightwing in that case, and then it also comes with the Drowned and 2 Robin, I think it was. But anyway, let's get BIZARRO out of the package and take a look at the figure. In my craze, I didn't even look at the whole packaging. But anyway, on the back of the package, we actually get the look at the artwork of BIZARRO. It says Source, Superman number 42, Comics 2017. This is actually the design of the card that is included there in the package. And then we also get the stand. No flight stand like some of the other Superman figures actually come with. Like the Red Sun Superman actually comes with the flight stand. I actually don't have a regular Superman. I never got the one from Action Comics or the animated one or the infected one, but I have the Red Sun Superman. Eventually I will get a Superman. I'm just kind of waiting for it. I am really looking forward to the Justice League Snyder Cut movie figures because I really enjoyed the Snyder Cut. I'm really glad that they released it on HBO Max. It was an easy 4 hours to watch. I know 4 hours sounds long, but I really did enjoy it, so I can't wait to get both of those versions of Superman, the black suit and the Target exclusive red suit. But anyway, let's get to BIZARRO. Okay, so here is the BIZARRO figure out of the package. So I did quickly look and read up on some things. And it was pretty interesting, kind of the storyline, the DC Rebirth BIZARRO. It really makes me want a Red Hood figure, which I have not yet found in any of my local Target stores. So I know my buddy Spawn XD209 saw a few in a store and didn't even think of me and just walked right on by and left them all on the peg, because I think they were like 3 per case. I'm just giving them a hard time. But if I find one, I'm definitely going to pick it up. I know, there's the 2-pack with Nightwing and all of that, but I just want the single release. I don't want to get the 2-pack. But anyway, the BIZARRO figure, here it is. Now, looking up images, because I don't have this figure, the infected Superman looks to be the same figure. But, of course, the upper torso is going to be different because we kind of get the reverse of the logo, because BIZARRO's powers are kind of the opposite or reverse of Superman. So instead of a heat vision, he has freeze vision or cold rays or whatever I guess you would call that. So it's kind of the opposite, but pretty interesting figure. Now, depending on what images you look up, BIZARRO should be pretty bulky, but he's not quite that big in this action figure form. He's basically going to be the same size as a Superman, although it is a different body from the Red Sun Superman. I don't know if maybe the upper arms or the shoulders could be the same. They're probably not. The legs are definitely different. The feet might even be the same, but they are not the same figure, which I kind of at first thought they would be, but they are not. So anyway, let's zoom in close and take a look at BIZARRO, because there is something that is quite bizarre. See what I did there? Haha. About this figure that I don't really like, and that's going to be the color difference between his neck and his head. So let's zoom in so you can see that. Okay, so here's an up-close look at BIZARRO. I got a light shining right underneath it so you can kind of see exactly how his face looks. And the paint apps and everything are applied quite nicely. You get a little white in there for the pupils, and that looks good. I like the shading and the wash that we get throughout the head sculpt, so that is all really good. The sculpt and the wrinkles and everything on his face, I really like. The hair looks good, but my biggest complaint, and I think it's a valid complaint, is look at his neck and then look at the head. 2 completely different grays, and it's like very noticeable, like bad. Like looking straight on, you can see the difference in his neck and chest compared to his head. Like, why is it that big of a color difference? Like, that's extremely noticeable, and I don't think that's a good look. His hands are the match his head, and in fact we actually get two interchangeable hands. So out of the package he has fists, and then he comes with these interchangeable open hands, as you could see here, and they won't focus. There we go. Those match his head, but then you could see the ball joint on the wrists right there is that light gray that matches right there his neck color there. So that is very unfortunate that they couldn't get that to match, because you want the skin tones to match, especially when it's quite noticeable. Now, I don't have a whole lot of DC Multiverse out of the package to really compare, but Red Sun Superman, he looks pretty good. No complaints there. But this guy, damn, right? But anyway, looking at the sculpt itself, we get the reverse Superman logo there, and the paint on there is clean and nice with the yellow and the red. No complaints or anything. We get some nice line work in the pattern of his suit, which looks pretty good. His belt piece there, we get the red diamond shape with the stripes. Now on the back of the package, somebody had mentioned this on Instagram, I think it was, this is the DC Rebirth BIZARRO, but the image that they actually use is not from DC Rebirth because of the belt, if you notice there. So I think it was the New 52 that he had mentioned. No, I don't think New 52. I don't remember what it was that he mentioned, and I'm not enough of a DC guy to really notice that. So there's that, but the boots there, I think the feet are a little bit small for kind of a bulky guy, but that's just me. It is not the same cape as the Infected Superman. That one had a lot more tatters and holes and rips and everything in there, but that looks pretty good there. You can see, and it kind of weighs him down, but not enough to where you can get him to stand. As long as you get the feet and work those ball joints on those ankles, you can really get him to stand, no problem. At first I had a couple of issues because, you know, he's very back heavy because of the cape, but not so much of an issue now. But anyway, let's zoom out and take a look at his articulation. Okay, so let's go over BIZARRO's articulation. So we'll start with his head. He can look down that much, which isn't a whole lot. He can look up that much, which is good. So if you're getting him into flight poses, he can actually look up. But damn, look at the difference in skin tone. Oh, that bugs the hell out of me. Anyway, you can get some great head pivot going on in there. And then, of course, you get a full rotation in that neck. You can get the arm to go up that high. The cape stops it a little bit, but really that's all that you're going to be able to get. There is a full rotation, and we do have that nice butterfly joint in there, so you can get the arm to go back a little bit, and you can get it to come forward a little bit. So I guess the functionality of it isn't too great, but it really does help fill in some of the gaps that you might see between the shoulder and the upper torso piece. So, you know, I'll take it. We have an upper bicep swivel in there. You get a double jointed elbow, which gives you a solid bend there. Wrists are on a ball joint, so you get a swivel, and you do get a hinge, so you can kind of work it whichever way, as long as you kind of grab that ball on the wrist, and then you can twist it. That way you can get whichever hinge you want out of those hands. And to switch out the hands, you just pop it off like so, and then you can get one of the interchangeable hands and place it on the peg just like that. Now the upper torso is on a diaphragm joint, so the waist also is, so you can pivot him to the side that much, pivot him to the other side a little bit. You can get that upper part to go back that much, which is actually pretty good, and then working the upper part. Doesn't really come forward, but just kind of comes straight up. But then also at that waist you have another ball there, so you can get him to really tilt to the side quite a bit. There's a little bit of gap in there, but you know, chances are you're probably not going to you know, tilt him that much. So that is pretty good. Going back, you can go back quite far, but the cape is really going to get in the way. And then coming forward really isn't all that much. So back was crazy, forward not so much. You get a twist at that upper torso, and that lower torso can also give you a twist. So you can twist it around like an insane amount there. Now this hip portion is a rubber material, which is good because it works on there, and they get pretty close color match. You know, when you're using different materials, of course the color won't be exact. It is pretty close, but what that does allow is some good rotation in the legs, or good movement in the legs, and it moves with the leg. And I think it does give a better aesthetic in the hip area as opposed to like no other action figure companies that'll do the hips, you know, like Star Wars Black Series, like Hasbro does, like so. So it helps kind of give it a more clean look to it. So you can kick the leg up that far, which is pretty good. There, you can go to the side that much, like so. There is somewhat of a swivel, but there is no thigh swivel in the McFarlane figures. I think some of them get them, not a lot, but you do get some turn in there, and I know that seems to be a big complaint with most DC Multiverse figures, so be aware of that. There, you get a double jointed knee, like so. There is no calf swivel or boot swivel at all. You have a foot that hinges down, you can hinge it up, and then you can pivot it, and then it's also on that ball joint, so you can kind of really work that around whichever way you need to suit your needs. And there is a toe hinge there, which hinges up extremely far that you would never need to actually use that much there. But it is a very good looking figure that works well. The upper torso is a good size, even though I think the legs maybe should be a little bit bigger to kind of fit the Bizarro from the DC Rebirth comics, but I do like the way it looks overall. Okay, and for a quick size comparison here, we have the DC Rebirth Bizarro next to the DC Rebirth Flash. And you can see Flash is just a tad bit taller, a little bit thinner of an action figure. And I don't really have any other open DC Multiverse figures, where I probably have about 20 figures at this point. I just don't have any of them open because I just don't review them, and I'm trying to figure out space and whatnot. But there is a DC Multiverse figure next to Bizarro. Okay, well, here's another size comparison. Here we have the Transformers Red Robot Enhanced Design Cheetor, as well as the Netflix War for Cybertron Cheetor, and you can see the size difference there. Okay, and we have Bizarro next to a Marvel Legend and a Star Wars Black Series. And last side-by-side comparison here, we have a Power Rangers Lightning Collection Zeo Green Ranger Adam Park, as well as the Beast Kingdom Egg Attack Action Spider-Man Far From Home Stealth Suit or Night Monkey Suit. Okay, so my final thoughts. I think it's a solid addition to the DC Multiverse line. Let's hope McFarlane Toys, Todd McFarlane, will continue to spread out the DC character lineup as opposed to doing so many different Batmans. But I get it, right? Batman's the big seller. There's lots of different Batmans that they can release. I tend to believe that there is somewhat of a mandate from DC Comics to say, okay, we need lots and lots of Batman. And I think Todd McFarlane also said it at one time, there should always be Batman hanging on the pegs at every store. Now, McFarlane Toys distribution, I tend to think is pretty good, but it's kind of one of those things where it can seem to get a little wonky. But for the most part, I think their distribution is pretty good. With Target, at least. When we talk Walmart, that's the whole different issue because Walmart is just terrible across the board. But here is the DC Bizarro as I start to ramble on. You guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this Bizarro figure? Is it one that you're definitely looking to pick up? If so, I have some pre-order links down in the video description below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.